Welcome to our Access Complete Wellness Faith webinar. What we're going to be speaking to today is the Faith Essential Oil by Young Living, and specifically how this tool can be used to assist you in any faith journey you might be experiencing. The faith oil is one of the infused 7 oils, so there's one for every aspect of your world, and there are a series of these webinars that can be utilized for each one of those areas. These oils are inspired by the book called Oola, about finding balance in an unbalanced world. So what we're going to work on in this webinar is learning more about faith. So we're going to look at the emotional signs that may give you a hint that faith is needed in your life, or maybe you're going through something. We'll specifically look at the definition of faith. I always like to do that because I think that's really important to understand what we're really working with. We're also going to take a look at how emotions impact your health, and that is really the focal point of all of these webinars that I look at is how do the oils support the emotions that go with the specific topic that we're talking about. We'll then take a look at, boy, what a great world it could be if we had faith in a bottle. Well, good news, you can see it on the right side of the slide here. We do have faith in a bottle. And then what we're going to look at is how to apply faith in your world. So when we first look at these emotions, now this is just a small sampling of emotions that might be necessary when you are dealing with a faith concern or faith issue. Perhaps you've lost your job recently. Maybe you're a single parent and you're working 3 jobs to support your family. Maybe you're facing a serious health condition or diagnosis. Possible maybe you've made a major life decision and you don't really know what to do next. Or maybe you've lost a loved one. These are just some examples of what a faith journey might need to look like or might require faith to get you through this pretty major life scenario. So let's move on and ask ourselves, what is faith? Now, this is a definition that I pulled from the dictionary. It's talking about complete trust or confidence in someone or something. I would be clear to add that someone could be yourself. Faith that you can take that next step. Faith that you can make that hard decision. It also is very much so associated with a belief in God, or in the doctrines of a religion based on, spiritual apprehension or proof, something along those lines. And so just wanting to make sure you understand that faith isn't always a religious topic. So it's important, that you know that. It's about confidence in the situation, taking a step and knowing that you're going to land on solid ground. Now, I always like to put faith thoughts in these presentations or thoughts around them. And I put this first one in here, first of all, because I think, the Bible is an incredible source of faith talk. So I put this scripture in here. Many of you have probably heard it, but I want to point something out about it, and I think it's really important when you're on a faith journey. So it's Matthew 17:20, and this is pieces of it. This isn't all of it. But truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. I want to focus on something really important. Maybe you have or haven't ever seen a mustard seed, but they're really pretty tiny. So imagine moving something as big as a mountain with something so small as a mustard seed. So let me put it in context for you. As you're watching this webinar, perhaps there's a scenario in your own life where you are looking at a problem that looks gigantic, huge like a mountain. And how many times do we face our problems and our problems look so much bigger than our faith? And that's an interesting concept when you think about the mustard seed, that you're not the only one who thinks their problems are really, really big. And you're not the only one who probably has no idea how you're going to get through it. And it's that small amount of faith. That's the good news. It only takes a small amount to move a really big problem. Now, for this beautiful day of technology, I'd like to bring up faith is like Wi-Fi. It is invisible, but has the power to connect you to what you need. I like that one. Or how about Mother Teresa? Be faithful in small things, because it is in them that your strength lies. And one of my favorite authors, Florence Scovel Shinn, I water my wilderness with faith, and suddenly it blossoms as a rose. I love this particular thought because we're going to be talking about essential oils. And you may not know a lot about essential oils, but I'm going to give you a really fast course on it in this webinar, because not everybody does know about essential oils. And I want you to understand that rose is an essential oil. That's why I like that particular thought. Now, it's important for you to understand a few things before we go too much further. So one thing that you need to know is that disease is rooted in the main emotions. And the main emotions that I categorize them in are fear, anger, sadness, worry, grief. And then from those, they branch off into other emotions, right? Irritation or joy or whatever. They all kind of branch off into other emotions. And so resentment, maybe bitterness, right? So I want you to know that this is a study for a whole different topic, but oftentimes diseases have an emotional root. And the disease, I'll give you an example. Anger often goes with cancer. Sorrow, often with diabetes, a lack of sweetness in life, right? So just want you to have that baseline understanding. And so when you've got negative emotions in a situation, you're going to lead to disharmony in the body. It's just bottom line. I mean, you can't deny it. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But all disease has an emotional root. And look at the breakdown of the second bullet, dis-ease. When life is not easy, when life is hard, when you are facing a struggle, dis-ease. So what we want to know is, how can you bring harmony to the cells? So let's talk about that, because everything's at the cellular level. That's what matters. That's where those diseases start, at a cell level. So let's ask ourselves, how do you feel when somebody's done something nice for you? When somebody's paid you a compliment? Maybe they gave you flowers or a card or chocolates. Didn't you feel cared for when that happened? It's an amazing feeling, versus if someone's been very negative towards you, or somebody said something nasty to you, or maybe, somebody did something mean to your car, or, you know what I mean? There's all these thoughts and emotions that can go with things, and whether they're positive or negative can have a huge impact on how you feel at a given moment. So basically, positive emotions raise disharmony to harmony in the body. So it's important to understand your body has energy frequencies. And Albert Einstein, he talked about that everything has vibrations, and vibrations are frequencies. Now, you have a frequency and an energy frequency about it, because in the wintertime, you can walk across the carpet and shock your family member or your pet, right? There is an energy exchange. You can't deny that. That's proven over and over. Or picture an EKG machine. You can literally see a heartbeat on that monitor, and doctors can see when there's disharmony in that heartbeat. every cell has a similar balancing frequency. Every cell has the opportunity for that disharmony. If you could hook every cell up to one of those EKG machines, you could see it in them as well. So let's explore what disharmony could look like when it can be created in the body by having a lack of faith. So first off, we have to understand about raising your frequency. And disharmony in a cell can change to harmony using a lot of things. We already just talked about a few, like actions. Someone can give you flowers or candy, right? Or someone can say pleasant and kind words, or not, right? Maybe a supplement, right? If someone has a deficiency in vitamin D, they do not have the right frequency of vitamin D in their body, they can take a vitamin D supplement that can bring that frequency back into balance. Smells can do this for you. Just, picture your favorite cookie when you were a kid. And if you have that cookie today, or you smell that cookie today, it hopefully conjures up very happy and pleasant memories. So your olfactory nerve is very important. How about sounds? Do you have a favorite song that just picks you up out of nowhere and makes you feel great? That's important to know about. That's how sounds and that sound frequency can change the resonance of your cells. So it boils down to whatever raises you to a positive frequency. And essential oils are one way to raise your frequency. And the neat thing about them is that we have one called Faith, and it's actually been bottled. So let's talk about faith in a bottle. So this particular oil has a whole lot of constituents to it. Here's just a couple we mentioned in this beginning slide to kind of bring you into awareness around this oil. But the reality is it can help increase inner strength and humility. When you inhale this blend, it actually helps you feel more connected. Gives you more awareness of your surroundings. But before we go into all the constituents of this oil, we must talk about what is an essential oil, because not everybody knows. So you need to know they can come from all aspects of trees and bushes and plants in nature. They are extracted from them using steam distillation. They are highly, highly concentrated and very, very potent. And how do they work? Well, you need to know that they have components in them. This is going to sound kind of sciencey, but that's okay. Called aldehydes and esters. And they help both the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So that's your fight or flight system and your repair system. They allow the body to relax instead of letting anxiety build up. Because anxiety creates acid in the body. And it activates the transcript enzyme, which transcribes the anxiety onto the RNA template. And that stores it in the DNA. Now, that's epigenetics, and that's a topic for a different discussion. And you can find out more about that on my website, and we'll talk about my website at the end of this. But when you are exposed to an emotionally charged situation, you can diffuse this oil. So think of what situation you're in where you require faith right now in your life, or someone else that you know that could benefit from this oil. They can diffuse this oil, and it will absorb into the bloodstream through the nasal cavity. It'll go to the limbic system. That's where your emotions are stored. That helps to activate the amygdala part of the brain. That's where fear, rage, trauma, all kinds of emotions are stored. So the oils actually help to sedate the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. How cool is that? So now let's talk about the oils in the faith oil. There are 17. That means that we have to move quickly in this presentation. So take good notes, because there's a lot to talk about here. We're going to handle them 5 at a time. And so what you need to know is that I need you to get in tune with the faith situation you're dealing with. What scenario? And by the way, if you have the faith oil available to you right now, I'd make sure you have it handy. Just kind of, take a few inhales every now and then as we go through the presentation. So think of what scenario where you require faith right now. Could it be any of the things we talked about before? Maybe you're going through a separation or divorce or big, huge life decisions, maybe a bankruptcy. I don't know what your situation is that requires faith. You may have lost your job. You may need to move to another part of the country. Big decisions, I get it. And it looks like a giant mountain in front of you. But this is how this oil can assist you in that process. I want you to think about that throughout every oil I talk about, your situation, and see how it relates. Sacred frankincense. Now, this oil is ideal for those who wish to take their spiritual journey and meditation to a higher level. But listen to this. It works with the following emotions. It works on calming, relational irritations. It helps to support greater sensitivity, even to help to address anger or bad blood. Is there something in your faith journey right now that might hit on one of those emotions? How about balsam fir? This one's diffused for calming, but also grounding, to help you feel solid. This one helps with the emotions of being inadequate, feeling scattered or separated, right? Helps with emotional blocks. It helps with grounding. How might that help you on your faith journey right now? How about myrrh? Myrrh has a history of being helpful in skincare for its moisturizing properties to cleanse dry skin, but let's talk about it a little bit deeper. It was also used a lot in biblical times. It has an aroma that brings a sense of spirituality, a deeper sense, right? Now, myrrh is interesting because it's helpful in concentration and education. Now, many of us on our faith journey, boy, could we use an education? Could we feel like, gee, I wish I was just through this already? How helpful would that be to support you on your faith journey? It helps with the emotion of anger. It helps with daydreaming. Maybe you are scattered. You don't know what direction to go in. You're lacking the right move. How helpful could that be? It helps with fear, panic, shock. Maybe you just lost a loved one. Out of nowhere, boom, gone. How helpful could myrrh be in this faith oil? And how about juniper? This one has an earthy, woodsy smell to it, and it's very good for creating a peaceful atmosphere when you diffuse it. And it helps to evoke feelings of help and love and peace, and may elevate your spiritual awareness. And as far as the emotions go, juniper is really a big one. It's helpful for agitation, boredom, concentration, confusion, disappointment, discouragement, fear, frustration, grief, sorrow, guilt. How about mood swings? Seems like it covers it all. How helpful could that be on whatever situation you're facing on your faith journey right now? Or how about hyssop? Now, this has a sweet scent to it. It was considered a sacred oil in Egypt and Israel and Greece. I don't know about you, but I won't be going to any of them in the immediate future. So it's kind of nice to me that I can get that in this oil. And it helps to stimulate creativity and meditation. Now, how helpful could that be? Think about it. How helpful could that be when maybe you just lost your job and maybe you're going to take a leap of faith, right? No pun intended. A leap of faith and start a new business. How helpful could creativity be for that? Now, this particular oil, hyssop, helps with the emotion of grief. Moving right along to our next 5 oils. Now, remember I mentioned to you that quote earlier? Well, you got it. Rose oil is one of the 17. Now, this one's really helpful for removing emotional blocks and limitations to success. How could that help you on your journey of faith? This one can be helpful when you're feeling disconnected or not feeling closeness in relationships. Maybe you are separated, and maybe you are facing divorce or recently had a divorce. How could that help you? This one helps with emotions of feeling disintegrated. In other words, not fitting in, not feeling all there, not whole. You know, if you are going through a relationship issue, it might feel like your heart got ripped out. That would tend to leave you feeling like you're not whole. It also helps with fear of intimacy. Yeah, you've been burned once. Maybe you don't want to go through it again. I get it. How about cedarwood? This one creates a calm and comforting atmosphere. It stimulates the limbic brain and the pineal gland. Now, here's what's neat about that. Limbic brain, we talked about already. You're so smart now, right? That's where your emotions are stored. The pineal gland, that's your sleep gland. That's the thing that helps regulate when you sleep and when you don't. How helpful might that be if you're not sleeping so well because you've got a pretty big mountain you're facing? This one helps with the emotions of agitation, anger, survival, conceit, argumentativeness, boredom, concentration, confusion, despair, discouragement, forgetfulness, and restlessness. How handy is that on a faith journey? How about sage? This oil is a spicy one, strong and spicy, uplifting aroma, clarifying. Helps to help you get clarity. Think about it. How helpful could that be when you're facing that mountain? How do I get over? How do I get around? How do I go through? Right? This one is helpful for despair. It assists in anxiousness and helping you to let go. What's happened in your past that's causing your faith journey right now that you'd just like to let go of? Or how about hinoki? This is it's a Japanese cypress oil. And it's got a citrusy aroma, really good for spiritual awareness. Historically, it was thought to refresh the soul. This one's really good for emotions of agitation. And how about geranium? This one's great for releasing negative emotions and it kind of eases nervous tension. Helps to foster peace and well-being and hope. So from an emotional standpoint, geranium helps with despair, despondency, discouragement, confusion, apathy, agitation, maybe even abuse and fear issues. And the next 5, here we go. Coriander. Sweet, warm fragrance, really calming and gently uplifting. This one helps with the emotion of calming and being soothing. How about lemon? Lemon's an awesome pick-me-up to promote energy and mental clarity. It assists with feelings of emptiness and frustration, being sad or stuck. How might that help you on your faith journey? It helps with the emotions of anger and daydreaming and despair, sadness, guilt, and mood swings. A lot of those could get in your way facing that mountain. How about jasmine? This oil has a sweet aroma, a florally aroma. It helps to relax the mind and boost self-confidence and promote a positive outlook on life. How might that be helpful facing that mountain? It helps with the emotions of apathy, confusion, argumentativeness. It counteracts hopelessness, nervous exhaustion, indifference, and listlessness. Phenomenal. Ylang-ylang. This oil is used to help relax the mind and balance the emotions. It may be helpful in controlling negative feelings. It helps with the emotions of frustration and anger, feeling drained. How many of you feel like the life's been sucked out of you? Fear of wisdom, fear of possessiveness, like you're not your own person. You're not owned by you. You're owned by someone else. Or how about Roman chamomile? This oil supports the muscular system. It also helps promote calming and relaxation. How many of you, because of what you're going through, are facing a stiff neck every day or tight back or, who knows what might be addressing, right? This Roman chamomile is helpful for combating stress and guess what else? Sleeplessness. Again, often on these journeys, we might lose some sleep. The emotion this one works on is feeling petrified, unwelcome. It helps to minimize irritability and nervousness. It helps to dispel anger and stabilize emotions. Could that be helpful? I'm thinking yes on your faith journey. And our last two oils, here we go. Can you believe you already learned about 15? We're going to learn the last two, bergamot. This oil is useful during times of emotional stress. It's got a light and citrusy scent, and it has a relaxing effect that builds confidence and it uplifts moods. It addresses calming and agitation, fear, grief and sorrow, panic. How about jealousy? How might that be in the way of your faith journey right now? Mood swings also. And palmarosa. This one supports the cardiovascular system to create a feeling of security to help reduce stress and tension and promote recovery from nervous exhaustion. Now, how many of you are facing something so big that you are exhausted? How many of you have a lot of stress on your heart? Cardiovascular system support. This oil works with emotions of insecurities. So how in the world do you apply this? Okay, I'm going to go there now. These are the answers to how you generally apply this oil of faith in your life. Now, I say general application because you can go watch another one of my webinars. It's a very short one. It's a short video clip, actually, and it's going to explain to you the customized sessions, because not all of us are created the same. Not all of us have the same problem. All of us think our problem's bigger than anyone else's, and the reality is what you see here is this is the DIY, the do-it-yourself section, and then there's some ways you can get some very quick results doing some very specific things unique to you. So in this situation, what I want you to pay attention to is this, especially diffusing and directly inhaling, because we talked about the importance of getting into the limbic system. So what I want you to focus on is these are some general areas you can apply the oil on your body. You can also use it as a full body massage. Put it in the air vents if you don't have a diffuser. If you don't have a diffuser, we can tell you how to get yourself a diffuser. But the other thing is here's some special points to consider. Write these down. Kidney, bladder, brain, heart. Right there on this slide. Kidney, bladder, brain, heart. Here's what's important about these. These are what we call auricular therapy points. These are important points that can help you on this journey. What you would do is take a small applicator, like those little makeup applicators, and there's these itty-bitty tiny, they look like itty-bitty Q-tips. You take one of those and you apply some faith oil to the Q-tip, and then you lightly massage on these points. Now, the key is, if you find a spot that's a bit sore, you're probably on the right spot because these generally are sore spots. And by the way, there's ear points all over this ear. We're only highlighting the important ones for this particular oil. So again, this is a general application. Now, let's get to some more details. How you're going to apply this to your world. So the first thing you need to do is you need to get quiet. And you need to become aware of your body and your emotions. Ask questions like these. What topic requires my faith? Where am I lacking the faith to face a problem in my life? Who do I need to have faith in? Might be yourself, that you can do it, you can tackle it. Might be someone else or something else. Another thing is, so what body part do I put the oil on? How do I know? Well, I would say that slide before gave you a general application. Remember I stressed that? I'd like you to consider that if you're having a body part that's giving you trouble, that might be a great one to put this oil on. Because the very problem that you're facing, remember I told you, dis-ease, the very problem you're facing might actually be making you sick. So if you have a troubled area in your life, trouble spot, it might not be the 4 I showed you on that chart, on that ear chart. It might be something else. Put the oil on there. What have you got to lose? And use the following affirmation. Write this down. I am grateful, humble, and fully connected. I am grateful, humble, and fully connected. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to put a drop of that oil on your hand. You're going to rotate clockwise 3 times. So you put the drop in your left hand, rotate clockwise 3 times with your right hand over that left hand. Rub some excess oil over whatever body part you think is the right body part based on what we've talked about. Then, what I want you to do is take what's in your hands now, because you're going to be able to smell it, and cup it over your nose. And what I'm going to ask you to do is inhale that oil. And as you inhale that oil, I want you to say the affirmation, I am grateful, humble, and fully connected. I am grateful, humble, and fully connected. And I'd like you to do this a couple of times a day. And I want you to start noticing what's going on in your world. So, what do you need to be looking for? Well, we just talked about how you're going to apply this oil. And it may take days and it may take weeks. But I'm going to tell you something. You're going to notice everything. And if you don't know what I mean by everything, you should go to my website. I want you to check out my blog on Awaken. Awaken. Just search on Awaken on my website. And you'll see my website in a minute. And that is going to tell you where to notice things. And I mean, it's a big list. So look for everything that changes in your world. And look how your body part changes. Maybe that body part starts feeling different. It might start to hurt a little more for a couple of hours because you got to move yucky stuff through it. Okay? Notice. Start to look at how you're reacting differently to people, all people, not just the people that you have a faith concern with, all people, or all topics. Notice what starts to change in your world. Again, Awaken, my blog. Go to my blog, Awaken, learn more about what you need to look for. Now, some of you may be saying, what is this customized thing you talked about earlier? Well, here you go. We can do a customized faith experience. So what does that mean? It means you're going to get exactly the body part you need to put it on, because that's where you've locked in the emotion that's holding you back. You're going to get exactly the application of the oil, how many drops. You might even need to use the Oola Balance or Oola Grow with it. You're going to get exactly the dilution ratio you need. You're going to get exactly the sensory identification. Which one of your 5 senses is totally locked into this and triggering this issue for you? And what personal affirmation do you need? Let me give you an example. When I did my own customized session for my faith experience, my affirmation was very different than the one I just shared with you all. My affirmation said, Thy kingdom is come, thy will is done in me and my affairs. That was my affirmation. Very, very different. You know why? My experience is very, very different than yours. I am counting on God to get me through something, to help me move through some big changes in my life right now. That's why my affirmation is real different than yours. And whatever one I use with you in your customized session, it will be personalized to you. You and I will work on it together. Trust me, it's worth it. So I want to thank you for your time with this particular webinar. There are many more in the series. You can go to my website, lynnmoralesnd.com. Also, I have Access Complete Wellness. You see that at the top of the page, accesscompletewellness.com also. And where you will be able to find more information on the blogs I've mentioned is the lynnmoralesnd.com. If you need to go find the Awaken, if you want to set an appointment for a customized session, that's where you go, lynnmoralesnd.com. So I want to thank you so much for the opportunity to share this information with you. I do hope it makes a huge difference in your world.